Hello everyone, Gebatron here. The first thing I always do when I get a new game is check the settings to see what there is to work with and to gauge performance. So even though it might be a bit boring, that's what we'll do in this video. Before we click on the settings tab, I just want to point out the video playing on the background on the main screen here. This is actually reenactment footage shot by Lion's Heart Films. You can see their logo in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. There's footage like this all over the game. Like once you start a new campaign, there's a film, kind of like a documentary, that goes into a little bit of the history of America and sets the stage for the campaign. I think it's pretty neat. I think it's really well done, and I just kind of wanted to point it out. Before we click in the options tab here, let's click on this tutorial page. I want to show you guys something. If we click on the beta version here, you guys can read this first paragraph for yourself. Pause the video and read it if you want, but I want to read the second one here. It says, in the beta version there are 10 historic standalone battles and 2 campaign starting points. The early access release version will have 1 more battle and an 1863 campaign. Now what this tells me is that this version that I'm playing, this beta version or this preview version, is going to be different than this early access one. The reason I'm pointing this out is if we go into options here, let's click on options. Some of these options may be different when early access actually happens. And then of course, once the final release actually comes out. So maybe we'll have to do this video again. Who knows? Alright, now that we're in the options tab at the top here, you can see the resolution options. So let's click on it. We start here with the lower resolutions, moving on down. We get to our 1080p at 60 Hertz. There's a couple of 1440p options. There's even a couple of 119 Hertz options. And then we got our 4K. Something to note here is that there is no V-Sync. They're kind of built in with these resolutions, as you can see here. They all have a specific refresh rate with them. Just wanted to point that out. Next we have our full screen. We can check that on or off. Graphics quality settings, low to high. Historical fonts. If you click that on, things will look old-timey, like the dispatches you get in the game. If you click it off, it'll be a little easier to read, but I kind of like keeping it on. Gives me that feel. Now tooltip's time appearance is kind of goofy. Every time we hover over something here, we get a tooltip. We can shut this off completely by clicking off. We'll hit OK. And now you can see those tooltips don't show up anymore. Let's turn them back on. But what this actually refers to is the secondary tooltip. If we hover over this, see that secondary thing pop up down there where it says Union February 25th, 1861. If we change this closer to high, click OK, let's hover over it. It'll take longer for that to pop up. There it finally popped up. And there's those secondary little tooltips like that all throughout the game. So low means that it takes a short period of time for those secondary tooltips to come up. High means it takes a long time for those secondary tooltips to come up. I like to keep mine a little lower, especially because I'm learning the game. Map scroll speed, that's pretty self-explanatory. The map moves pretty fast, so I have mine pretty low. Alright, let's move on to media. This is all pretty self-explanatory. Music volume, this is music volume in the game. Right now, this music that's playing behind us is actually a part of the video. So if we take this and we turn it up, you can hear it gets louder. That's not how it is throughout the whole game. It's just this title screen here, this main screen. Sound volume, that has to do with like gunshots, marching troops, cannon fire. And of course over here you can shut them all completely off. Deactivate chapter videos, those are those videos I referred to earlier. I like to leave them on for a little bit of flavor, but once you've seen them, you've seen them. You can shut that off, you know, if you want. Moving on to game options, we have, let's start at the bottom. We have autosave rhythm. You can have that all the way down to 1 day. It'll autosave every day, or all the way up to 91.3 days. You can shut it off for a little more realistic, playthrough. I like to keep mine down. If I can grab it here. I can't grab it. What's going on? There we go. I like to keep mine down towards 15, just while I'm learning the game. Maybe I'll change that later. Now for the rest of these game options, we actually have to click out of options, and let's go back to our tutorials here. It starts with European interventions, fog of war, order delays, and feuds. So we click on tutorials. We'll start with interventions, and I'll just read these out loud. If interventions are allowed in game options, the European powers may intervene in the American Civil War. The British and French may join the Confederacy in its fight against the United States, and the Spanish may retaliate if the southern states invade their colonies before the war. The chance of intervention can be increased or decreased via diplomatic policies and acts, as well as diplomacy subsidies. The chance is shown in the alarm information as an icon. If the intervention is possible, a major victory is required to encourage the intervention. Here, if we look up here, like in the game, towards the top, kind of right-hand side, you get little alerts sometimes. So that's what interventions are all about, if you want those on or off. Let's go to Fog of War. When enabled, information about the enemy forces is less accurate, which makes the game more interesting and allows surprises. In the campaign, intelligence is gathered about enemy units. The location and strength of any spotted units can be updated, but there may be delays or inaccuracies. Cunning commanders are better at hiding their intentions and strength, and some commanders may tend to overestimate enemy numbers. In battles, the Fog of War has two functions. Firstly, all units have a maximum visibility range. This is shown as the gray shroud on the paper map. It can be deactivated via the map information controls. Secondly, the concealment of terrain, unit size, smoke, dust, fog, and commander abilities. This may allow units to remain unseen even if within visual range, and units that are lying down or in cover will be harder to spot. Let's move on to order delays. This one's interesting to me. A little longer, so hold on. When enabled, all orders will need to be prepared and delivered before they are carried out. In the campaign, the delays are shown as a timer for given orders. If the unit is within range of a telegraph station that is connected via other stations to the capital city, order delays will be considerably shorter. The readiness of the unit and the commander's initiative may shorten delays. In battles, orders are delivered mainly via couriers. It takes time to write the orders and time for the courier to reach the unit. Some simple orders can be signaled using the bugle. Commanders show two radii when selected, command radius and bugle radius. The bugle can be only used for signals within its range. When an order is given, its delivery is shown on the command line from headquarters to the unit as a moving arrow animation. When the arrows stop, it means the order has reached the unit. When the arrows are removed, the order is being carried out. If a headquarters gives an order to all subordinate units, they will carry out the order once and all units have reported ready. This is actually really cool because it takes a long time for your orders to reach your units. You kind of have to anticipate a little more. Of course, you can shut this off and your units will react, almost instantaneously to whatever you want them to do. But I like playing with it on. I think it makes it feel more like the Civil War, I guess. But that's enough of that. Let's go on to feuds. This is kind of interesting as well. When strong personalities clash, it's possible that orders may not be carried out as they were intended. Feuds may lead to commanders intentionally delaying the execution of orders, or the commander in question may instigate reckless actions on their own that ignore the given orders. Existing feuds are shown with an icon above the unit. See the tooltip for more details. you can see up here. It kind of looks like a set of binoculars in the actual game. Anyway, feuds are more likely in the case of professional career officers or officers that were elevated to their positions due to political ties. The more aggressive and famous the commanders are, the more likely their personalities will clash, maybe causing unpredictable results in battles. These famous commanders and aggressive commanders, those are some traits that the commanders have. Feuds were quite common and occasionally decisive during the Civil War. I can't read very well. Okay, let's go back into options. So now we understand what those all mean. You can turn them on or off. Let's move down to hotkeys. Hotkeys are pretty simple. You know, ADWS to move the map around. You can rotate the map with Q and E, zoom in with T and X, you know, yada yada. Thing I wanted to show you though is that these are kind of bindable. Like stop units here is space and pause game is P. Now I like to stop the game, like to pause the game using the space bar. So if I click on the P with my left mouse button and then I click the space bar, that'll change to space, and then I can go down to stop units and let's just put F. There, so I can actually kind of, you know, I can bind my keys, which is cool. Now like I said, this might change once the early access version comes out. I kind of hope there's a couple more, but this is adequate for now. Okay, I think that's where we're going to call this one. It got kind of long because I was reading stuff, but I wanted you guys to get a really in-depth look at all the options so you wouldn't have to mess around with it too much on your own when the game releases to early access on August 21st. Subscribe for more content like this, like and share with like-minded people as it really helps out. Check out the video description for more useful information, and thank you so much for watching.